Alrighty. You might think I'm joking, but it's actually taken me a fair amount of time for me to recover from this.
Poor signal.
And build up the courage to talk about it. Over the last probably 6 months or so, since the incident, I've actually barely touched a fishing drone and kind of started to fall off the old social media radar. The truth is, I was simply embarrassed, and it actually took me a really long time to build that confidence back up again, pick up the controller and take that risk, flying the Aeroo Pro, or any drone for that matter, over the open water again. But mistakes happen, and I hope if you watch this video, it helps prevent you from making a similar mistake yourself. Hey, Dave Fisher Repeat here, and in today's video, we're gonna break down everything that happened with this drone crash. In part 1 of today's video, I'm going to be taking you step by step how and why I crashed my Aeroo Pro. Then in part 2, at my expense, we'll watch my beautiful drone crash and sink into the salt water for your viewing pleasure. In part 3, I'm going to recap all the hazards from this trip, along with listing a few additional precautionary tips and tricks that I've learned over the time that I've done drone fishing for you to add to your drone flying toolkit in the hopes it helps prevent a similar thing happening to you or someone you know as well. In part 4, I'm going to show you what I did to help salvage the drone and try and get it working again. Finally, in part 5, I'm going to explain a few things that I've since come to realize about the potential benefits of owning a waterproof drone that previously I don't think I really rated as importantly as I do now. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so for part 1, I'm going to take you through step by step what happened on this day. It's going to be a little bit different to some of my previous tutorials where we're actually going to watch it together. So I've got my laptop here, I've got all the footage already, and I'm just going to play it and kind of talk through as I go. It helps to remember what happened, and we're going to point out a few of the hazards and stuff as well together. Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, well that was a bit intense, just setting everything up. Just wanted to get it all done before the tides started coming in a bit too much. So got the surf caster out. We're at a spot that was suggested by a couple of mates, and then what I'm going to do, get the drone out, and we're just going to drop a bait about 200-300 meters out. Hopefully we can finish off the trip with a bang. Started with power, let's finish it with some fish. I can't believe I actually said let's start this with a bang straight out the gates. I think I tempted fate a little bit too much. But anyway, I guess a bit of a background to this day as well. So we'd just done a huge road trip mission all around the top of the South Island over Christmas. And the previous day, I'd actually really pushed my luck and gone drone fishing off Rabbit Island with the crab net. We're up. And we will drop. So I got away with the crab net. So on this day I thought I'll be absolutely fine. Don't be arrogant. Doesn't matter how many times you fly on a drone, you can still crash it. Don't hurry, don't stress, take your time. If in doubt, don't send it out. I was fishing in a completely new spot. A couple of really good mates of mine who come from the South Island had recommended this spot. I took their word for it. In hindsight, as soon as I got here, I probably should have just pulled the pin on it, because it's a great surf casting spot, but it's not a great drone fishing spot. So despite myself putting out a surf caster first to set a bait out, I should have just called it a day there and not tried to put the drone out. And you'll see why as we carry on into this. Let's get that Aeroo Pro up in the air. Alright, preparing to take off. Hopefully we'll be alright with these trees. Just don't want to get too close to that water line. Although I had checked the tides, I was assuming it was going to be a beach where there'd be a lot more distance for me to launch a drone, but there wasn't. So as soon as I got there, the tide was already coming up and I was stressing out that I was going to swamp my drone. So not only did I put myself under a lot of mental stress and pressure, but there was also the time pressure and actually the risk of the tide swamping my drone as well. Alright, you always get some weird technical difficulties in this case. So where we were launching from, it was quite an open bay that was also quite sheltered, so there was obviously a lot of people around. There was heaps of water skiers and jet boats and stuff. I didn't fly it out that far. Again, I probably should have just pulled the pin because there was just too many hazards and I was having to kind of really work around that. And as you can see on the drone there, There wasn't a lot of space even when I was landing on the beach. Trees and bush and stuff everywhere. Definitely not the place you want to be launching a drone from. You want a really nice, clear, open area without a heck of a lot of obstacles. Also, I should have actually put down a landing pad to stop the sand and dust going on my drone. Looking now, I was obviously in a rush.
Landing.
Cool, okay. Getting absolutely destroyed by sandflies.
Tiny little flies, and they just bite you everywhere. And even though it might sound quite minor, when they're all buzzing all over you and it's very humid, really increases the stress levels. They're flippin' annoying and you get aggravated, and that's just another chance for a mistake. So these other guys actually showed up to start going surf casting, and this is their local spot. I didn't want to mollyhawk them. The tide was coming in. I thought probably best to go up the top and find a different spot, and hopefully it would be easier for me to launch the drone. Despite thinking that, I was obviously wrong. There was so many hazards and issues around the spot that I launched. Yeah, we'll launch the drone and you can see why.
The home point has been updated. Please be mindful of the new return to home point.
When I took off from the drone, it was a really dusty area. A pretty stupid place to launch, to be honest. It was just dust everywhere, dust going into the props. Yeah, I don't know. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I should not have launched a drone from here. It was also on the edge, and it's hard to tell from the GoPro, but it was actually quite steep. The drone was kind of launching on a bit of an angle, and you should never really be launching a drone, especially a fishing drone with a payload attached, on an angle. Anyway, cool. Carry on.
How the fuck am I going to bring this back? Fucking dusty bloody thing. This is so precarious. I'm going to land it up here. Goodness gracious me. This is a bit hectic, guys, but...
So as you can see on the drone here and from the GoPro, I kind of came in between a bit of a clearing of trees. It actually did go all right. Like, it landed fine. I got away with it. But even if you're experienced, I would not recommend this. It was dumb as. There was just way too many obstacles up there. There was still dust. It still wasn't really a great landing area. And there was just a ton of trees. Now, trees aren't just an issue for obviously hitting the props, but they're also an issue for connection and making sure that your connectivity is really good. The other thing as well, I guess, that I should call out from Aeroo, unlike say your filming drone like the Mavic Air 2 here, the Aeroo Pro doesn't have the obstacle avoidance luxuries because it's a fishing drone. It's designed simply to drop baits, very different to a filming drone that's designed for flying in and around objects and obstacles. You know, avoid obstacles. Don't launch from them, and don't land next to them as well.
Alright guys, hopefully this works. Try and get these blades a little bit flatter somehow. Nah, no such thing. Alright, hope this launches.
The home point has been
a lot
updated.
less dusty.
Please be mindful of the new return to home point.
So as you can see here, it did get snagged, and this is really when things went seriously wrong. Just need to be careful of and watch out for with the Aeroo is when it's below about 10 meters, it struggles to maintain that exact horizontal height or altitude. And this is relatively well known. I've actually covered this on my Aeroo Pro debut video. So usually I'll fly that straight up. You want to get it way up 10, 20 meters high as soon as possible. And then the Aeroo Pro will just smack bang stick there. No dramas. If you do get a snag on the trace or anything seems to go untoward while you're launching the drone and it's connected to the trace, simply press the old eject button there, drop the bait, fix it, land the drone again, and then send it out. Do not try and fix it while the drone's in the air. However, on this day, I didn't do that. The line got snagged, and rather than dropping the bait, I decided to try and fix it as the drone was still hovering in the air. While I had my head down, stupidly untangling my trace, the Aeroo Pro was slowly hovering towards the large shrub right next to it. And by the time I looked up, it was only a foot or so away. I quickly picked up the old Aeroo Pro controller and went to fly it as far away from this bloody shrub as I could as soon as possible.
What happened?
I don't know.
Poor signal. Please adjust the antenna.
What?
Poor signal.
I fucking was holding it upside down.
Now, ironically, it was because I'm a relatively experienced drone pilot that this went really badly. When the Aeroo Pro was so close to the bush, there was sand flies, it was humid, and I was already stressed. All that stuff adding together, I just went into autopilot. I grabbed this bloody controller upside down. And it's as simple as that. I'm so used to flying the DJI where the phone is on top. But with the Aeroo Pro, it's the other way around. So the phone's on the bottom. I tried my best to get the drone away, but I went up. And as you saw, the drone went down. I went right and the drone went left. There was nothing I could have done. The weirdest thing was, once I'd flown it through that bush, I said to myself, I'm about to crash my drone. And by the end of it, I kind of flew it into the water because I couldn't work out what was going wrong. And I think that's why it really mucked me up mentally and to be honest, emotionally. You know, in hindsight, that really is the most important things, because if you grab it in a hurry wrong and it's upside down, it doesn't matter what you do if you don't realize you're going to crash your drone. Now, that may not happen to many of you, but just if you're in a hurry, make sure you pick up the controller the right way around. Hope you enjoyed part 1 and 2 at my expense. Part 3, just going to recap all the different hazards and risks that were involved in this day. And then I'm actually going to add a few more as well from what I've learned in the wider drone fishing experience. So first off, don't get cocky. Be extra careful and take your time when flying a drone, especially in an unfamiliar place. Ideally, you don't want to set your drone up on a spot that the tide can get to you. Make sure you're launching your drone in a nice, clear, open area. Remove as many hazards as you possibly can. If you can, get a big tarpaulin cover or use the stock standard landing pad there to prevent dust and sand and grit going in the drone. I think the majority of issues tend to happen when you're launching or retrieving the drone. So make sure you get it nice and high as soon as you possibly can, so that if anything goes wrong, you've got all that altitude to fix the mistake. If you get a tangle, if you get a snag, if your line gets hooked up, hit the release button. And yeah, if you're used to flying multiple drones, don't pick up the bloody controller upside down. That's probably your number one. Don't do that. Okay, well, I think that's the majority of things that I did wrong during this flight. I decided to include a few more tips that weren't specific to this case on this day, but they're either things that I've learned the hard way or things that have been said by others that have been in similar scenarios. Do a safety check. You should be doing that anyway, but yeah, check your props. Make sure there's no cracks or splits in them, because that can obviously affect the flight and potentially lead to a drone crash as well. Always make sure your batteries are fully charged before going out. Check before you leave the house that all your software is up to date. Make sure you've set the drone's disconnection behavior to return. This ensures that if you lose connection, it's going to come home to where you first launched it from, rather than land in the ocean. If for any reason you're launching your drone from a boat, that's quite different, and I cover that separately in my previous drone tutorial. I'd suggest setting your auto settings for your minimum height for return and for lost connection to at least 30 meters high. Make sure that your brightness settings on your phone are turned right to maximum, especially when you're flying in bright sunlight, so it's the easiest to see on the screen. And related to that is your sunnies. So assuming you do a bit of fishing on the old salt water, tend to use polarized glasses so that they can cut through that water glare and so you can see into the water, and obviously to protect your eyes from the sun at the same time. What polarized means is it splits the light at 90 degrees, meaning that when you get your cell phone, portrait to landscape and turn it to 90 degrees, you tend to not actually be able to see the screen. The next tip is to not use this black cable that comes with the Aeroo Pro. This cable here from what Aeroo Pro have told me, is actually for dropping one-off heavy things like beer bottles and stuff where it's not actually connected to the fishing rod. It's an unnecessary long piece of cable, but you should be using a short, rigid piece of line going from your treble swivel or from your line and your sinker to the drone. You do not need this trace. Next tip, if you're new to drone fishing, make sure you test out flying your drone on an open field way before you even fly on the beach, and then definitely before you fly in the salt water. Very recently, I took a guy, Andrew, who's a keen bow hunter, teaching him how to fly a drone. We went out to the local field, and yeah, it's so safe. You got plenty of room, plenty of area, no obstacles, and learn where there's no water and no obstacles, you'll be a-okay. Then once you've mastered flying your drone in the field, when you get to the beach for the first time, rather than sending it out on the water, just send it down the beach. Drop some baits, connect it to your rod and reel. Do as many as you can. Really test it before sending it out on the ocean. The next one is make use of Aeroo Pro's safety release clip. It's pretty good. It's just a little tension release clip here. It works surprisingly well. I actually add a much thicker piece of trace so that my tension release can handle quite a lot more weight. And without going into too much detail, if you haven't seen my drone fishing tutorial video yet, I'd highly suggest watching that, especially part 3, where I talk all about drone fishing rigs. And finally, I don't know everything. As you can see, I crashed my drone. I'm definitely still learning myself. So please, if you got any other tips, throw them down in the comments, not just for myself, but for anyone else watching this video, in the hopes that they don't crash their drone as well. Assuming that you've got this far into this video, I'm going to assume it's been beneficial for you. Before we jump into the next part, I'm going to have to ask for a bit of a favor. And that's that if you haven't already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a like. It not only shows your support, but actually helps the YouTube algorithm, and in turn helps views and helps support me make these videos. I really appreciate it. Okay, now that the drone crash is over with, let's dive into part 4, salvaging my drone. So in this part, we're going to talk about water damage and what you can potentially do to help salvage your drone. I'm going to put in a caveat here. None of this is recommended. I'm not a drone technician. This is just what I literally did on this day to try and salvage my drone. So do this at your own discretion, and do not quote me on this if something goes pear-shaped. And as we'll see when we go through, you can make a decision for yourself if you would want to go down this path as well.
Where is it?
In the water.
Oh, babe. Didn't you get it?
Shit, what a fucking idiot. What a whip. Not ideal. Gonna rinse it with some fresh water and put it in rice. I hope it comes right, but I'm pretty dubious. Them's the brakes.
So brought my Aeroo up to the truck and flushed it out with fresh water and just shook the crap out of it to try and get rid of any excess water. Then we grabbed all our dry towels that we had, and I wrapped the drone completely in towels in the hope to try and take out some of that moisture as we drove back to civilization. Once we got to Nelson, I went straight into the supermarket and bought 5 kilos of rice. I literally just put the drone in the black rubbish bag and filled it with rice. After I'd covered the drone in rice, we then spent 2 days driving back from Nelson up to the Waikato. I didn't touch the drone once. I just left it fully sealed, covered in rice. Once we got home, left it out in the sun all day for 5 days straight, and I didn't turn it on once. Alrighty. It's been literally a week with a new battery in, or we'll see if this turns on.
Well, that works. The gimbal appears to be working, if you can see it moving, look. So that's quite crazy. Goodness gracious.
Nervous. Alright, here we go. Come on. Holy.
It's alive! Alive! Yes!
Goodness gracious me, it's alive, you absolute little weapon!
Yes! Woo!
Well, I don't know how I've done this one, guys. It's lucky.
If you're watching this video and you aren't aware already, I've actually got a discount code with Drone Fishing New Zealand, Fish, Eat, Repeat. It's discounts on all things drone fishing, your rigs, your electric reel batteries, your Ocean Legacy, drone spec rods, the whole shebang. You get amongst that if you haven't already. And I've just got one final part to talk about, which is waterproof drones and why they can be far more useful than I originally thought. If you've watched my in-depth 8-part drone tutorial video, in part 1, when I discuss choosing which drone suits your needs best, at the time I didn't personally see the point in buying a waterproof drone, since I didn't tend to fish in the rain and assumed if we'd lost it, it would be way out wide and we wouldn't get it back anyway. Well, after submerging this beast in salt water less than 2 meters away from myself, I've had to eat a bit of humble pie and admit having a basic waterproof drone like the FD1 Plus can be very helpful. And after doing drone fishing demo day with my dad and his mates, where I compared the pros and cons between the Aeroo Pro and the FD1 Plus, I now completely understand why many people choose a more basic but waterproof drone, not only for that peace of mind, but of operator error as well. Thanks for watching my video on what not to do drone fishing. I do hope it's been helpful for you, and I hope it saves a few drones, but most importantly, I hope it saves your wallet as well. Assuming you're interested in more drone fishing videos, you can check these out here, or if you also want to watch a few of my fishing tutorials, you can see these here. Thanks for watching, we'll see you on the next one.